Now, I just want to start this module saying I literally did not do, I did not like prime, I didn't, this is, okay. If you want a game plan for something that you're building, this is a really great way to do it, okay? Using LLMs, using AI to do so, okay? Especially projects, because as you build a project, that project might have more context and more context and more context. And the more complex that you create something, the more context that it will need. So, for example, I'm just going to show you the next steps. We talked about doing a writing distribution app, distribution. And something I could have done is to create a whole new project where it's like, hey, create a project for recording a series of videos and a script for what segments to hit on. But that's not how I work, okay? That's not me specifically. That's not me particularly. You might be different, okay? And so you figured out what flow works best for you. But you need to use your discretion to audit and figure out the gems that are relevant to you, because there's a lot of gems in here, okay? But people refine the gems in different ways. Let me take a breath. All right, everyone, take a breath with me. I know we're excited. I know we're going to lock in. I know we're here to build and change the future and change our lives. That's what we're here to do. So I'm going to keep it going. We're making a writing distribution app. You have our system prompt in place. So what do we need to do? We need to think. What questions can we ask? Okay, this is the thing. Yeah, so we have to, this is what we're doing. I'm making a writing app. I'm making an app that takes a journal entry from a writing desktop app and turns it into posts for X, for LinkedIn, and for Threads. And these posts each have their own particular writing style specific to not only the platform that they're distributed on, but also the personal brand from which like the account is posting from. Now, we talked about how important the system prompting is, okay? And in the same way, the way that you asked these questions, especially the preface conversation, it's super important, okay? Providing context and appropriate context and necessary context it's just like, it's all very important. You can either develop an intuition for it. It also helps to, maybe do a little bit of research, but my job isn't to teach you how to system prompt, okay? My job is to teach you how to use the app. We can maybe get into system prompting another time, but focus. This is the thing. There's so much that a person can do that the general thread of your intention, you have to be locked in. If you start to tangent this way or tangent that way, then it can cause you to over-engineer or stray away from the point. Our objective is to create an MVP as fast as possible. It's to get from 0 to 1 as fast as possible. And so, yeah, let's go. But I'm going to use Opus now because it's powerful. It's a powerful large model, more for complex challenges, okay? Actually, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to connect my GitHub. So that app that I showed you on my GitHub, remember when I came over here and I said, look at this app? This was an app called FreeWrite that my friend Farza created. And this is what we're going to be kind of using it as. So my GitHub, this is really cool. So this is the project context. This is like the hub of context that your given project is able to pull from, and you can connect your GitHub. Anthropic is crazy. It's like the amount of context that you're able to provide to it is insane. This is why I'm such an advocate for this. But my GitHub is where it's kind of where the code lies. I don't know a ton about it, but I'm gonna add this FreeWrite app, and yeah, let's see. So I add all the files. Now it has this entire app. So Farza made it open source, which basically means like he created this app and he's like, hey, if anyone wants to fork this or like take all this code and make your own app out of that, or use it to do whatever you want, then you can use it. So I basically forked the code, made my own version. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna like fork it again and like, well, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna figure it out as we go. So we've uploaded all of this. It's got to sync. In the meantime, my intuition says something about like maybe let's take this and let's app I fork to make my own. There's a lot that like when it comes to this, there's a lot of bandwidth that you have to use to kind of orient yourself. Okay, I'm just gonna go forward. Come over here. I've attached the project context of the writing app, and what I want to do is I want to create a new branch and use this as kind of the fundamental framework. Let me know if I need to fork the code again or what you think we need to do in order to make this happen. We also need to come up with a conceptual and technical blueprint for how to build this app that I'm talking about, and also a tech stack, because obviously if we're going to automate posts and its distribution, we're going to have to use softwares and maybe APIs in the meantime, or like to bridge those gaps. Yo, my buddy, fuck, what is it? Is it this one? No. Nope. Okay. There's an app that allows you to distribute. Fucking shit. Okay. This is sometimes the caveat of like just diving into something and having no planning, but whatever. This is gonna be a headache to edit. Maybe I won't even edit it. Maybe you just gotta like sit through it all. But it's real. This is like just a very real. Why does it say 15% of capacity? Right? So we need to let's do this. Remove this. Sometimes this happens. I'm gonna add 2% at a time, or a couple percent at a time. Another thing that you really have to, something that will really help you capture the appropriate context is like, you have to ask Claude to ask you questions. So ask me as many questions as you need to. You're going to ask me a shitload of questions to get clarity on the UI of the app, the UX of the app, which is user interface and user experience, and how it should function, what the intention is, so that you can, create an accurate, comprehensive, and complete conceptual and technical blueprint for the creation of this app. By the way, this app is, for now, only going to be used by me. And then we're going to hit enter. Shit. I jumped the gun. I'm going to say, here. It's called free write. Make sure to look at the actual project context and completely orient yourself with the actual code base and its intent and its utility, such that you'll be able to come up with a plan for how to bridge this or connect this with the app that we're looking to build. Before I trigger this, I just want to make sure that the project context is actually synced up. So come over here. Now we wait. That doesn't make any sense. It's annoying. All right, well, I don't know why this is happening, but whatever. It only says 3% of project capacity used here, but when I open this up, it says 15%. What happens when you refresh the page? All right, whatever. We're just going to have to move forward. Okay, cool. Let's just send it. In full transparency, when it comes to doing anything efficiently, look, the best way that I learn is by jumping in and getting my hands dirty, and also like modeling myself after people who are doing what it is that I want to do. So I look at people building apps and like, what are you doing? But if all of them have a technical background, then like what they're doing isn't actually useful to me. And so I've kind of been like, fuck it, I'm gonna figure this out myself. I'm gonna roll my sleeves up. So many people are like, why don't you use no code or vibe code? Why don't you like use Lovable or things like that? Sure, you can do that, and that, it might be getting better. But at the end of the day, I wanted the leverage to be able to build from the ground up. Like you're either building with walls or you're building with bricks, and like the intricacies and the complexities of what it is you're able to build when you're building with bricks is so much more. It's more reliable. You have more creative freedom, but it might take longer. You know what I mean? But you also have more precision. You know, and whatever infrastructure you do build is going to like, I don't know, it just depends on the use case, depends on what it is that you're looking to do. Okay, so here we are, strategic assessment journal to social content pipeline. So notice how it didn't look at the project context. So I'm going to say actually look at the project context. Oh shit. I'm going to say actually look at the project context. And I'm going to answer the questions because it asked me a couple of questions over here. Let's just do a quick filter. Okay. So this is the thing. It's going to ask you questions. This is where if you suck at making executive decisions, like I'm sorry, but you're going to have a really, really tough time building apps or building any business. This is just a prerequisite to being a successful business person. You got to make decisions. And so as much as it annoys me to like read this and have to make a decision, as much as it annoys the artist self, this is just like what has to be done in order for you to execute. So let me just show you what that looks like. High leverage questions for architecture, content transformation strategy. How do you envision the journal post-transformation working? Look at my options. Specific patterns. So the idea here is to use reference context as a general modeling. So I will provide a certain amount of context as to, okay, these are examples of posts that I want my X post to look like. These are examples of posts that I want my threads to look like. And these are examples of posts that I want my LinkedIn posts to look like. And based off of the system prompts for each of those like platform distribution methods, this is how we're going to determine what the actual posts are. And obviously we want to kind of like make drafts. Well, for now, we want to draft the posts such that to actually post these posts, I'm going to have to like trigger them manually myself. But we want to automate it and systematize it as much as possible, such that from a user experience standpoint, it's like I write this, I have my journal entry, I write on my app, I click a button, and automatically, like, that entry gets scanned, it goes through whatever processes it needs to, and it creates drafts for each and every one of the distribution platforms. Does that answer your question? Integration architecture. Where should this transformation layer live? Oh, sorry. Transformation layer live. Yeah. Separate web app sounds good to me. I mean, to be honest, just to be transparent with you, I don't even really know what it's asking here, but it's telling me the option B like is a decent option. So why don't we just roll with that? See, this is the issue that a lot of people have. They want to be perfectionists. They want to understand everything that's going on. And I'm going to tell you right now, like if you want to build anything, you're not going to understand what's going on 100% of the time. Matter of fact, the vast majority of the time, you're not really going to understand what's going on at all. But what you have to do is you have to develop your confidence such that, okay, despite the fact that I don't know what's going on around me, I trust, one, my discretion to recognize useful leverage points in any given data set that I am put into, right? So your environment is constantly giving you data. And your objective, basically, is to have accurate and quick discretion. You scan what data, you scan the data and you identify like, okay, this is my desired outcome. What is the quickest way for me to get from 0 to 1? And I don't know. The way that I see it is that once you get to 1, you can take a step back and breathe and like look around you and be like, okay, cool. What did we learn? Like, how could I have done this more effectively? And anyways, there's a bunch of different ways that you can go about building, but like we're on a time crunch. Time is money. Time is precious. Okay, 3, personal brand codification. Let's see. Okay, cool. And I hope you guys understand, like I'm doing this real time. I'm just kind of being public about it, which is kind of crazy. Okay, so generally speaking, my personal brand codification, I like all of these. Okay, there are themes around all of these things, and I think that they help shape all of my entries have kind of helped shape a general identity. So I want to the primary thing that I want to do is in the output of the app that we are building. It is important that whatever is communicated with authority, such that I am an authority figure in whatever it is that I'm talking about. And these sections, hypnosis, subconscious reprogramming, entrepreneurial struggle and victory, authenticity versus performance, and tech and spirituality, intersectionality, like all these things are I would say this is it's very much me, you know? And so, you know, it's possible. To be honest with you, I don't know how many distinct voices we need. Maybe one that bridges all of them, one that's able to, I don't know. This is called Whisper. It allows you to kind of just text and speak, or like speak to text. Anyways, there wasn't much valuable. I don't know. It's gonna have to be you who's distinguishing between whether I'm talking to my computer or talking to you. Should have said that to begin with. Just so you know, there's this button on my computer. I hit it, and then whenever I hit it, now it's like listening to my voice. So this is how I'm able to do this so quickly. I would say that generally the distinct voices are like I've got a LinkedIn voice, I've got a X voice, and I've got a Threads voice. And we'll kind of just build that out using context or examples, like I said, or references. What's your automation depth ideal workflow? Yeah, no, I want the flow to be such that, okay, Like I want the flow to be such that like it primes it up. It's like literally sitting in drafts. I don't even know if that's possible, but that's kind of where we're at. And if we can't do it sitting in drafts, then what we can do is we can at least like make it such that our desktop app in itself has these like it chops it up and like it's sitting in what would effectively be drafts, if that makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. But understand, like, look at what I'm doing here. I'm giving more context. I'm just brain dumping stream of consciousness, and even though that my we are refining the vision, because I started with this little idea, okay, and it's like, hey, here's an idea. I need you to ask me questions in order to build this idea out. So what we're doing is we're building this idea out. We're just like, it's thought of a bunch of questions like, hey, these questions are relevant until for what it is that we're building. What do you think? Like, where's your head at? Like, what are the parameters in which this thing can become into something actually tangible and usable? Content filtering safety. Your entries contain deeply personal content. Okay, for right now, I don't want to worry about any content filtering and safety. We can make a note, or we can make like a, I think that it's worth making a safety page or a filtering strategy or a filter. We need to have a filter of some kind built into the infrastructure so that we can address that at a future topic. However, right now, it just like, it is friction for getting from 0 to 1. Right now, we're looking to build an MVP. We want to build a toy that we can use as fast as possible and iterate from there. AI pipeline. Okay. Don't know much about this. This is great. Also, these timelines are every time Anthropic gives you a timeline, it's like never legit. Sheesh. Like look at this. Look how many executive decisions you have to make in order to build an app. But the thing is that you leverage AI in the correct way. You're just zooming. You're just fucking zooming. The reason I'm going this fast and just like I don't really I'm giving 60% of thought. It's like my instant intuitive first thing that comes to mind whenever it comes to making a decision for all of these questions. Unless I come across one thing that's like, oh, think about this. Oh, let me like be specific about this. Oh man, I have little to high confidence that those watching are even find this valuable. But at the end of the day, there's gems. There is, and I know that there is because like, who's doing this? Who's doing this? No one's doing this. And, anyways, so here we are. We have all this context. Proposed architecture. I'm thinking about using Sonnet 4.5 as my API. I want to use Anthropic as my model. The reason I like to use Anthropic is because I think Claude. Okay, so Claude and Anthropic are pretty much the same thing, by the way. They're the same company. I like to use Claude because Claude speaks a little bit more like a human, and ChatGPT speaks like I'm a robot. No. But ChatGPT can also. There's use cases for each AI and LLM. You just have to develop an intuition for how to use this one versus that one, how to use them collectively as a whole. Like whenever it comes to building an app, you have to understand. I'm using this, and I'm gonna use Claude also over here to do something completely different, which is the engineering part of it all. Okay, next decision points. We got to keep it going. what do you think for hosting preferences? What are the pros and cons? I mean, at the end of the day, it's only going to be used by me, but does it really matter? What's good? Yeah, I'm comfortable sending my journal entries to OpenAI and Claude. If you're insecure about, actually, yeah, I'll say this. Look, there comes a point to where there's AI everywhere, and you're either going to merge with it or you're not. And if you're not, you got to go become a hermit, because at the end of the day, there's nothing that's going to stop this. There's nothing that's going to stop AI from taking over everything. And that kind of like paints AI in a bad light, because it shows like, it kind of suggests that AI is inherently negative, which is not true at all. But like, what are we doing here? We're building apps. We're building apps that people use. And in order to do that effectively, like, there's a certain amount of privacy that you have to revoke. It's not like it's not like everything that you put into these companies the government has to watch, at least right now. As of right now, we still live in a free country. But one day it's possible that, you know, the government tries to pull some shit and like, okay, cool, we're going to take all of the data from a certain API, and like, we're going to take all your freedoms away. This is why you shouldn't support communism. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Whoops. I have to delete that. Okay. For post approval, ideally it'll reach a point to where I do not have to review every post. Like, if I use it enough, it'll reach a point to where I trust AI to kind of extrapolate and, you know, create the posts necessary. But to begin with, we got to make something that actually works. We got to make an MVP that's actually functional, you know? And so that's kind of where we're at. Like I said, existing assets, yes, we can. Okay, yeah. We can use some. I'll go find some LinkedIn and Threads post examples that perform well. Development environment, I don't really know. I don't really know the difference between Swift or TypeScript / React. What I do know is that I use Claude Code. I use Claude Code to code, and that the stack of my last app was Next.js on the front end, and my app is predominantly TypeScript. So I don't mind doing either one, I guess, unless you have some insight for me. Additionally, now that you have all this context, feel free to ask me even more questions to gain clarity and the whole picture and the complete context on the vision, so we can keep refining what it is that we're building here, so that when it's time to launch and build, we can do that, and we can do it well and effectively and precisely. All right. So I'm going to copy and paste all of this, put it back into this thing. Hit save. Okay, what you have to understand here is that, like, because context is king, there's so much context that is necessary in order to create a conceptual, an ideological or technical blueprint for building an app. Like, in all reality, this is generally actually a very simple app. We're not even, like, I'm not looking to distribute this app right now to other people. I'm simply looking to build this and use it for myself. This is the second app that I've ever built. But like, the conversation should move back and forth. It should go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until, like, your AI model is like, yo, I got a clear ass picture as to what the fuck we're building. And then, you know, you build it. All right. That's the end of this segment. We're going to keep on going.